Hi, welcome to the Women in Leadership Body, Mind, Soul, and Business podcast. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Heather. And together we're working to connect women in business and leadership. But we are connecting women in leadership and building better relationships with each other, empowering each other to just do better. So, and that's
Every day.
a lot what about this week is about. It's a Mindset Monday.
It is.
And our mindset topic this week is tapas.
Which is like the passion or the fire, but specifically this week it's more talking about the creating positive change, right? Using that passion and that fire to create positive change.
Which is perfect. And then our mindset topic is facing your fears and overcoming them, which goes, both of these go perfectly with the book that we have in mind for this week.
Yes.
So I was like, shut the front door. Of course it is.
Of course. So we are
going
gonna
to
tap into our inner passions, and we are going to face our fears this week with 4 Agreements Week.
It's a calling out week.
It's a calling out. So this is the little book, 4 Agreements. It's not a very big book.
It's super small, maybe small. Like an inch.
You could read it in a day. But it has some really.
But if you read it in a day, you're gonna kind of miss the boat, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of those, you can just read it real quick, introduce the concepts to yourself. You listen here, introduce it to yourself, and then go read it, download it. I think you can get it on audibles.
This is my 4th or 5th time going through the book, and that is both between reading it and then listening to it, and then reading it with purpose, taking notes, listening to it. It's like revisiting these concepts time and time again, because these 4 agreements, sometimes you need reminders for tools, right? These 4 agreements are 4 amazing tools that you can use in your life to really change things.
Yes, and we're going to talk about the book, kind of give you an overview of what's going on in the book, and really introduce some of these concepts. We talk about them a lot.
We do.
And they're definitely intertwined with everything that we talk about. So I'm going to go ahead and dig right in. So the book is called The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, and it is a Toltec wisdom book. So why don't you go ahead and tell us who are the Toltecs?
Okay, so the Toltecs, I think thousands of years ago, like ancient Mayan civilization era kind of thing, right? The Toltecs were in and around like Mexico City, and they weren't so much a culture or like
a race of
people, as they were a group of individuals who created a society as philosophers, astronomers, artists, think very like
masterminding,
these are like the geniuses of the era, the people who have intimate knowledge of how things work. Think like I think of like Rocket City, Alabama, right?
Right.
You have all the NASA scientists and stuff. So that is basically kind of the concept. But eventually, a lot of their, they were like scared away, or shunned in society in general and things like that, because they were like
thinking so differently.
So you hear of like the 3 wise men from the Bible. Those weren't normal people. They were the Magi. They were kind of their own thing, right? And
you're gonna let them go over there and do you.
Right? But because they were different, they were shunned, and so they had to protect themselves and kind of disappear into society. Okay.
Wow.
And
so because of that, they kind of disappeared.
They did. They just kind of disappeared. And Don Miguel Ruiz is from one of the lineages of those people. So the wisdom was passed down through the lineages, but it was like almost like a secret
Mm.
that has to be unlocked within you. Think of it that way. Like it's an inner knowing that has to be unlocked,
Oh, absolutely.
but
I
it's
could
passed
see
down
that.
through the lineage, you know.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So
What a
that's
cool gift from that lineage.
so
Like,
that's kind of how I understand it. And what they did, basically, there was a medicine man who wished to learn more about the universe and how it works thousands of years ago. He was learning what was being taught to him by society and realized that some of it didn't make sense. It didn't sound or feel true to him because we only know what we know, right?
right.
But
And
he
we
started
kind of have that
challenging those.
inner intuition, right?
Mhm.
Like where like when we're really connecting to spirit and we're really connecting,
It's that
you
inner
know,
knowing.
you have a no, right?
Right.
You're like, this doesn't feel right. This is hinky, right?
Right. Yeah. So this is that inner knowing, right? His inner knowing told him that this isn't right, that he didn't agree with everything and that felt that there must be more. Eventually, he found everything is made of stars and light, and stars and light are made of everything. Okay, we know this by science, right? Seeing that everything is connected, everything that exists is the manifestation of one living being that we call God or whatever religion you have. You believe in this like higher being creator, right? And that everything is God. Everything in existence is God. God manifested us. We can manifest our desires upon the world, right? Because we're just light perceiving light. Matter is a mirror, and the real us is pure love, pure light, right? But we wear this veil of shame and fear and darkness over us because we've been domesticated by humans.
So that is a whole topic here. So we'll get into that in a little bit more.
Mhm.
But when we're born with the ability to dream.
Yes.
And so let's talk a little bit about that before we get into that domestication, which is kind of a scary topic,
okay,
right?
So we are all learned with the ability to dream, and what we can dream is infinite, right? We have good dreams and we have nightmares, and we can create dreams and nightmares with how we choose to live our lives, right? And we'll get deeper into that. But so we have our own personal dreams, right? We have our own personal world that we are creating for us. But then there's our family dream, right? What do we want for our family? As a whole, what does our family want for each other, right? And then you take all those people and then you go bigger, right? What does my community dream? What is my community dream? Within your town, within your state, within your friends, and then it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then what is the whole world dream, right? As you get bigger and bigger and bigger and further away, often it gets darker and darker and darker because the limitations and beliefs that we put on other people because we make assumptions of them, which is a whole nother agreement that we will get to another time. Okay, but we have been domesticated as humans by the humans who lived before us through a series of punishment and reward.
Okay, so when we have a dream, the dream is domesticating us.
Yes.
It includes the society rules, laws, beliefs, religious, the way to be, schools, holidays, cultural, social events, how our governments run. All of that is what we're talking about. Like, it's like when you're born right now, you're here in the United States, and these are kind of like the societal rules and laws that you were born with is the dream we're talking about.
Right.
Of how that works.
So think of it this way. We open our eyes when we're bored. We notice all the colors.
When
we're born. Not bored.
Okay.
Born. When we're born, we notice all the colors around us, and we can see all the colors around us. And right then, we don't know what they're called, but right then in that moment, we see the colors and that is our truth. Okay. Then we learn through domestication what those colors are called and what they're used for. Right. So that we learn that Heather and I are both wearing dark blue shirts today.
That was weird. And laciness.
Right. So we have named this color blue. We have named this kind of like holy material lace.
Right.
We have named these things because that is how the societal dream has worked within us to name and label. And then through that, we also learn to judge. Okay, good, bad, right, wrong.
Well, your blue's brighter than mine, so it must be better.
Right, that kind of stuff. And then we start judging ourselves and
Right.
each other. And the truth is that we will never judge our nobody will ever judge us as bad as we judge ourselves. We are our own worst enemies. But yeah, so that's basically the domestication and the dream. And each one of those choices that we make within the dream, like we agreed that this color is blue, because that is the common knowledge that
the common language
to
communicate.
That is the agreement society has that to call this color.
Right.
Is, this is dark blue or whatever. And so everything that we know.
But I didn't decide that that's dark blue.
No.
I was told it was dark blue.
You were told it was dark blue, but
Right.
you agreed it was dark blue because through a series of punishment, you could have said, this is yellow. And they're like, no, that's blue. You were punished and you were told you were wrong because you called it something that it wasn't agreed upon by society, that
Okay.
it was wrong. Okay. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me. I hope it makes
sense to you guys. Let me know if that's not clear. So everything that we have learned is in like this book of law that we put together in our brains.
Okay.
Right? Of all these agreements that we've made, every single little thing that we've made, we call our mom, mom. We call our dad, dad. We call our cat, cat. We call the dog, dog. Or, there was an agreement made as to what the different things are. And we accept things upon ourselves because we were told things about ourselves. Maybe we were told we were stupid, or that we weren't good at something, or, maybe you grew up with the most beautiful singing voice and somebody told you to shut up, and then you started hiding that singing voice because you took that upon yourself and you believed it. And these are the words that we get into
that create those, what I label as a limiting belief.
A limiting belief.
And there's some different language around how you can talk about that, but things that are keeping you from moving forward in your life, that are holding you back.
So to get through these limiting beliefs and reprogram those agreements within you, you do have to it does take reprogramming. And what that includes is some inner conflict, right? You did believe this, and now you're trying to, like, this makes more sense over here. This feels good. This feels right. This feels true. So this is my new truth because I learned something here. And this one doesn't jive anymore. So you're trying to replace that
almost like short circuits you, like, right? Like you're like, I know I want to do the new thing, but this other thing felt comfortable. Yeah. But this new thing feels right. Right. Like it feels better. I feel better about myself as a better human. It makes more sense.
Right. Whatever the case may be. So then you have to make a new agreement, right? And it creates that inner conflict.
That's where the word believe comes in, right? Like when you make a new agreement with yourself, you have to believe it, because that's the first step to it. Wow.
Right. Okay.
And it does take a lot of courage.
Every agreement we make can either create heaven, or it can create hell in our own lives today. We are living our own heaven or hell by the choices we make, by the words we use, and by the agreements that we have made with ourselves and with each other. One of the things that I read in the book that really hit me was that you will never allow someone to abuse you more than you abuse yourself. If they abuse you a little bit less than you abuse yourself, you will continue to tolerate it. But if they abuse you a little bit more than you abuse yourself, then you won't.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. Just wow.
So what kind of crap, the crap that you allow yourself to deal with, that is an agreement that you sent that message to that other person that I'm going to tolerate this stuff and I'm going to let you do it. And here's the thing. We will find the people in our lives who will take advantage of that. Right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, and you essentially are attracting them to you because you're not asking or telling yourself that you're worth anything more.
So 95% of the beliefs we have stored in our book of law are lies, and we all suffer because of these lies. Oof. We dream ourselves into hell. The dream of the planet is normal for humans to suffer, to live in fear. It's not a pleasant dream at all. It's full of pain and fear, violence, war, injustice. I suppose you can consider it a nightmare because it is ruled by fear. The world dream is ruled by fear, right? And the only way to change that.
We can see that by watching the news. Like everything is fear-based,
right?
You know, lack. You're not gonna be able to get this. It's lack-based.
But whenever we feel the emotions of anger, jealousy, envy, hate, we experience that fire burning within us. That's that hellfire that we feel, right? And we all understand that hell is a place of punishment, fear, pain, and suffering.
We feel like we definitely do that to ourselves.
We definitely do that to ourselves. So, and we continue on this perpetual negative cycle, because of fear and shame. And I think fear and shame are like the caveats to all this other negative crap we have in the world, right?
Right.
And the world dream.
Understanding and recognizing fear, understanding and recognizing our own shame.
Right.
And it usually is not based in anything that is valid. Like I haven't found, the whole point of shame is to make it so that you don't die when you're a little kid and you listen to your parent. Right. Like it's not supposed to be this overwhelming thing that keeps showing up every day in your life, right? It was supposed to keep you from.
I think the survival skills is more about survival. It shouldn't be about fear or shame. It should be like, this is how you survive. Fear comes into play because you don't really want to die, but the biggest fear humans has is living.
Surviving and living is harder.
Surviving and living. Yep. So fear and shame. Okay. And why do we do this to ourselves? Because we want to please others, because we want to fit in, because we want to feel loved, appreciated, and valued, when in reality,
because we told ourselves a story.
We did.
That this is how I have to show up.
Because we believed somebody who, it may have only taken one person one time to say something, and we embedded that into us, and we took that on as some kind of plate of armor, and we wear that, right? And it's not a badge of honor, it's a plate of armor. Okay. So we abuse ourselves. The more self-love we have, the less we experience self-abuse. Bam. Okay. Your agreements are the most important agreements are the ones you make with yourself. I heard something when I was listening to something earlier this morning, like, and what caught me in the middle of my other thoughts was my brain took a left.
I hate it when that happens.
My brain took a left, but it was really good. The ones you tell yourself who you are, what you feel, and what you believe, and how to behave. Here, that's what it was. Okay, so it was this mother talking to her daughter, and she was trying to decide, do I go to this party that I'm not sure if I really want to go to and disappoint my friends, or do I honor myself and not participate in that kind of thing because it's not who I am? And mom said, it's always okay to disappoint somebody else. It's never okay to disappoint yourself.
Ooh.
Right?
Right. That's
Right.
a great.
If you have to disappoint other people, that's on them. That's not on you. So
you don't have to explain yourself. Like if you were set a boundary, like I'm not up for that. It's okay to not be up for that.
Right.
Yeah.
So in order to fight against these agreements we make ourselves, the first agreement is to be impeccable with your word. This means not lying to others as well as yourself, to put those words of love and light into the world and not accept any of those fear, shame, doubt.
You have to put that love into you as well.
You do. And it takes practice. Think of it as a muscle that needs work, right? It's creating habits.
Cultivating it, growing it.
Yeah, like a seed. Yeah. Like a seed in your mind. Okay, so your mind, your heart is fertile soil. It is fertile soil, right? Fertile myrtle. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Whatever you plant, there's going to grow.
Whatever you plant, there's going to grow. So think of every thought that enters your mind as a seed. Is it a good seed or a bad seed? Are you going to plant it? Are you going to water it? Are you going to nurture it? What are you going to do with that seed? Right?
That goes right along with like some of the questions, like, is this going to help me towards my goal? Like when you're like trying to decide what to do, like, should I be lazy and do nothing, or should I go work on this for 5 minutes? It'll help me towards my goal, right? Like that. Planting those seeds for yourself.
Right. And then creating those boundaries and being honest doesn't mean being mean. You can be honest without being mean, right? It's all in how you word things.
To be a butthead.
And if you're coming from that place of love and light, it will never be mean. It'll just come out love and light, right?
Right, exactly.
So remember that hurting people hurt people. Okay. And to be impeccable with your word, the Latin root means to be like without sin, right? So to be impeccable is to be without sin. And to be without sin is to be pure love, light, So, that's
interesting.
Really a way to visualize that, right? And we know that wars have been fought because of people who spreading hate and discontent, fear, anger, and things like that into the world, entire world.
And you can see it.
Millions have died.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. The words we choose to use on other people. Okay, I'm going to call us out. I know it was done to me as a child, and I know I have made some of the biggest mistakes of my life by taking my anger and frustration and my own hell and unleashing it onto my kids. right? That was
Like,
my
'cause we
help.
have to deal with our own crap first.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's
then
hard.
I have to now fight
Absolutely.
against my kids not believing that they are enough just as they are, because I didn't guard them against that.
We didn't know.
We didn't know.
Right. So
Right.
we can't beat ourselves up over it,
Mhm.
but we can only do better now.
I'm gonna be an awesome grandma. That's
You
what I'm
already
saying.
are an awesome grandma, right?
Right. So
You know, we're awesome parents too, actually, because we care.
yeah, and
We
these-
care. At least we're trying, right? The unawesome parents don't care. They aren't gonna
Right.
try.
Right.
They aren't even gonna have this thought process.
Right.
Just so you're clear. Like
Right.
the fact that you care is like a big, huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always wanting to be a better human, I think, is or should be the dream of the world.
And I feel like sometimes our
It's not.
kids are really good at showing us with a magnifying glass, here's the thing you need to work on. Like, oh, I don't like it when you do that. Well, why do you do that? Oh, because you got it from me. Great.
Yeah. They make really great reflectors, don't they?
Yeah.
They shine it right back at us. So the words we use, every word we use, we're casting a spell. Right? Think of it as casting a spell. We do it all the time. We cast spells with our opinions. And we all know what opinions are like. We do it to ourselves, to those who are close to us all the time. We can cast spells of abundance, joy, and love, or we can destroy love with negativity. The spells cast upon us from our loved ones, telling us that we are not good enough, must be broken. And it is so hard to break these spells that have been cast upon us.
So I think the thing is catching them sooner rather than later. So like, especially for us, it's harder now, right?
Well,
but when we can hear it in our kids and we can help them bust that now, like how many years head start are they going to have? Because
oh my gosh,
them
if
bust
I
it now.
had the positive mindset of my oldest when I was her age,
life would be
a million times different.
right.
Right.
So when it take us so long to be ready for each other, right?
Right. It was fun, right? So, and we can create energy by using words in the way of truth and love. Okay. When we are full of joy, when our words are joyous, peace, love, happiness, sunshine, and truth, it's light and bright, and it's not so heavy a burden to carry.
Right.
When we have all that negativity, fear, anger, doubt,
well, and when you're
heavy,
cultivating the heavy darkness versus cultivating the light, the brightness, the color, it actually sits different because it vibrates different. The colors vibrate. We've talked about that. Like it feels different in our bodies.
It does. And your body language is different, right? So use your word to create that energy instead of creating the drag.
Yes.
Nobody likes a drag. Nobody likes a drag. Okay, don't
maybe
be
a drag queen,
yeah.
but not a drag.
Right. Drag queens are awesome.
They are. So you can use these tools every day to help yourself face your fears, opening up your mind to these thoughts that maybe it doesn't have to keep being the way it is. Like, I'm uncomfortable, I don't like this. Well, guess what uncomfortable means? We can do something about it. We can make a change. We can make a choice and decide to do something, because you're already enough. You are already enough. And we can choose to change these agreements we've made with ourselves to make positive, more helpful agreements, like being impeccable with our words. Right. So go be impeccable with your word today. We love you guys. To yourself, be impeccable to your word, specifically in regards to yourself. Start there, because it trickles out when we do these things for ourselves and we're true to ourselves. and then we're more authentic in our relationships, and then our friends and family are more authentic back, and then we're creating more love and
It
more
does have that ripple
abundance.
effect.
And
It's so
yeah,
cool.
it is, and it's really cool watching it all come together like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It is very cool watching everything come together. And this kind of stuff can reap generational rewards.
Yes.
Generational rewards.
Yes.
So anyway, we wanted to share it with you this week.
And we're excited to get into more of the agreements. So we just did the intro and the first agreement today.
Yes. Got a little background, got a little first agreement of be impeccable with your word, what that means, and
goes right along with cultivating and practicing positive change in the world.
Yes. Yeah, isn't this a cool positive change to put into the world, right? And to face your fears, because it is scary to try something new.
It takes a lot of courage to
It
step
does.
out of what is comfortable and what you know.
And what society is telling you, society's dream is telling you is truth and not what your truth is.
Right.
It's hard to make those adjustments for yourself. But yeah.
I loved that advice. It's okay to disappoint someone else, but it's not okay to disappoint yourself.
Yeah. Because, well, I mean, think about it. You disappoint somebody else, you can always make arrangements to do something with them, and whatever the situation is.
Right.
But you can't do that to yourself. Right.
Right. You're hurt. You've hurt yourself. You've hurt yourself. And then you're not showing up in integrity for yourself.
Right. Heavy, right? Okay.
Showing up every day for yourself is a challenge sometimes.
It is.
It is totally worth it.
Totally.
Totally worth it.
Learning and growing is so fun and challenging.
Thanks for going on this adventure with us.
Thank you for joining us today on the Women in Leadership, Body, Mind, Soul, and Business podcast. We love you all. For all of the latest and greatest, go ahead and check out our website, www.womeninleadershipbsmb.com.
Namaste.
Namaste.